Hello, happy Pride. I want to talk about gender. I don't know what I'm going to have for the gameplay. I was 6 years old when I first found out what a trans person was. There was a TV show program. It was real. It wasn't fiction, and I found out wow, people can change their gender. Like that's crazy, right? Other than that, trans people really never showed up in my head or in the conversation, other than a time that I was at my uncle's house and unfortunately Fox News was on, and looking back at it, they were talking about trans people. I think there was someone who wanted to join the Boy Scouts or something. Maybe it was the Girl Scout. I have no idea. It's some Fox News thing. Just like in the bisexual video, I'm going to briefly go over the fact that I became very religious and I became very bigoted, especially with my environment and people using gay as an insult. Boys doing anything feminine was seen as bad. Either way, became bigoted, unfortunately. And despite that, I never really thought too much about trans people because, again, they didn't really show up in my head or anything like that. It really wasn't until I stopped being homophobic in July of 2021, again, see the bisexual video, that I stopped being bigoted and I started thinking about trans people. Unfortunately, I was still Christian at the time, and I had this stupid conservative mindset of, oh, that's not what God intended, but whatever, which is better than being fully against it, but it's, still bigoted. Either way, a year later, I would become an atheist, and I am a very different person. Once I was no longer a Christian, I started to look further into other religions. I started being a lot more open-minded about things, and I don't want to label myself with anything. You can call me a communist, a socialist,
the radical left, the Marxists, the anarchists,
an environmentalist, Marxist, whatever, radical leftists, whatever. I'm somewhat joking, but I really do look at us as individuals and as people, and, I can't put it into words, okay? Once you're open-minded about a lot of things, you start to think about existing, society, and I'm not going to get too political. Of course, this is about gender. I don't think gender exists. I know that sounds crazy, okay? Obviously, biological sex exists. I don't want to take you to biology class, but there's more than two sexes, okay? There's a reason why we as humans are all very different. Why some men are more masculine and some men are more feminine. Why some women are more masculine and some women are more feminine. We are just humans that develop. I mean, why do you think there are weirdo right-wingers that quote-unquote transvestigate people? Why do you think there are people, cis women, who get profiled as trans? Gender is as real as money. Maybe money isn't the best example, but it is something that we created that affects us. If you don't have money, you're going to struggle to live. Gender is similar. We created it. It has changed over time, but it does not exist. We're just humans that develop. Now, of course, when it comes to trans people, there are a lot of studies that talk about trans people and the brain and how they're more aligned with their gender, all that stuff, okay? Either way, it is not science that determines little boys are going to play with Nerf guns and green army men, and it's girls that are going to play doctor and have Barbie dolls or whatever. That's us. That's we. Did you know pink used to be masculine because it's similar to the color red? I actually remember the old church I used to go to. The girls' stuff was blue and the boys' stuff was pink, and I remember being really upset about that when I was younger. Gender isn't real. It's not real in the way you think it is. Now, this is where I'm going to get a lot more personal, okay? So forget about biology and stuff like that. I'm going to be talking about myself, okay? It's pretty obvious that I'm a weirdo. I'm not going to go on about, oh, I used to be bullied and stuff like that. But there were little comments made about me when I was younger from even family members, school bullies and stuff like that, that now that I'm older, I'm like, yeah, that's gender related. I remember little moments when I was younger, liking flowers and being like, oh, that's a feminine thing. You can't like that, you know? Just certain characteristics about myself, you know? I guess flamboyant is the right word to use. There was this show that I used to watch when I was younger called Talking Tom and Friends, okay? I love that show, okay? And I remember asking someone, what character do you think I act the most like? And their answer was Angela. Obviously, fictional character, doesn't mean anything. That was an interesting answer to me at the time. Again, all these little moments and memories and thinking about life, what it means to be yourself. You know, I already said I'm an atheist. I don't believe in anything spiritual, even though, oh my God, I definitely do fall into that stereotype at times of that person that goes to Hot Topic with fake leaves in their room, loves pagan imagery and stuff like that, you know. Either way, I think a lot about the universe and existing in very like trippy stuff, okay? I don't think soul is the right word to use, but you are you. You are more than just the body. The body is a part of you, but it is not necessarily you. If you lose your arm, you lost a part of you. Hypothetically, if you could live with no arms and legs and you could have prosthetic arms and legs and move around, you are still you, right? You are the brain. You are you. Again, thinking a lot about existing and all that stuff. I understand why trans people exist. I understand why the topic of trans people and biological sex is such a thing. I get it. I really do. Now this is where I get even extra personal. Okay, this is stuff that even Batman couldn't get out of me. Okay, so turn the volume up. In 2023, I got back on Prozac. Okay, I started having these dreams of wearing certain clothing, and I loved it. And of course, Prozac, the antidepressant, you know that first month or two on Prozac is like walking on sunshine, you know. By the end of this year, it's going to be 3 years since 2023, right? Since that time of 2023. I identify as non-binary. I do. I prefer they, them. And as much as non-binary representation in people is something that is definitely getting more out there these days, you know how non-binary people are treated? I don't even know what to really say. To be you is quite an experience. To be yourself is quite an experience. I don't know what to like say, really. I gotta be honest, I think leaving Christianity was like one of the best things for me to do. It made me think more about philosophy. It made me think more about the world, myself, and this world is a very funny thing, you know? I don't know what else to really say. Do I ramble on about the universe and how we are all a part of it and how much that means? Like, even when we die, you know, like, we should treat each other better. We should treat the planet better. We should treat the animals better. We should be growing trees and plants and stopping this corporate nonsense. We should end billionaires. That sounds really bad out of context. Like I said, I don't know what word you want to call me. Communist, socialist, Marxist, anarchist, environmentalist. When you think like me and existence and stuff like that, trust me, someone out there has way better ways to explain what I'm trying to say. Okay, I'm sorry.